the hidden truth about Pennzoil Platinum. Pennzoil Platinum is not the oil it was 2 years ago. Same bottle, same price, same spot on the shelf at your auto parts store. Different oil. And there's a good chance your mechanic doesn't even know it yet. I'm Alex at Prime Car Care. I pulled the lab data, I checked what actually changed, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly one thing: whether the bottle on the shelf still protects your engine the way you think it does. Stick with me. The part that actually matters is coming up around the 6-minute mark, and it's not what you'd guess. Let's start with the short version, because you deserve the plain English explanation before we get into anything technical. Pennzoil built its entire reputation on one specific promise: oil made from natural gas instead of crude oil. That process is called gas to liquid, and it only happens at a small handful of plants in the world, most of them concentrated in the Middle East. Those plants got hit by regional instability. Production dropped, shipping got disrupted, and when the main ingredient behind your top-shelf motor oil suddenly runs short, a company only has 3 real options: raise the price and eat the difference, change the formula and adapt, or stop making the product entirely. Pennzoil picked door number 2. They changed the formula, and they didn't send out a press release telling you about it. The label quietly stopped mentioning natural gas, and unless you were paying close attention, you'd never notice. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part almost nobody's actually talking about. It's not really about the oil itself. It's about a piece of paper, a certification, and that piece of paper might matter more to your warranty than anything we're about to find in a lab test. I'll explain exactly what that means in a few minutes. But first, you need to see what actually changed inside the bottle, because that's the foundation everything else is built on. Independent lab testing looked at 3 separate things, and each one answers a different piece of the puzzle. First, did the additive package change? The additives are the stuff that actually does the protecting inside your engine. The anti-wear agents, the detergents, the stuff that keeps your engine clean and your metal parts from grinding against each other. The answer here is reassuring. Mostly no. That part held steady between old batches and new ones. So whatever changed, it wasn't the core protective chemistry getting stripped out. Second, did the base oil itself change? And this wasn't a small drift you'd need a microscope and a strong imagination to see. It was a measurable, documented change between older batches and current ones sitting on shelves right now. Something different is now the foundation of what's in that bottle. Third, and this is the one that actually matters for what happens inside your engine: how does the oil hold up under heat? This is called oxidation stability, and it basically tells you how well the oil resists breaking down when your engine gets hot and stays hot. The testing showed roughly an 8 to 10% drop in oxidation resistance in the newer formula compared to the old one. In plain English, the new stuff breaks down under heat a little faster than the old stuff did. Now, before you panic and swear off Pennzoil forever, 8 to 10% is not the difference between good oil and garbage oil. It's not going to seize your engine tomorrow. But if you're driving something turbocharged or a direct injection engine that runs hotter under the hood than an old school naturally aspirated motor, or if you're the type of guy who stretches oil changes past what the manual actually recommends, that number is worth paying attention to. I'm going to tell you exactly what to check for your specific situation in just a minute. Remember that piece of paper I mentioned earlier? Here's where it comes in. Motor oil formulas aren't just mixed and bottled, they're licensed. General Motors, for example, requires a specific certification called Dexos for a lot of newer trucks and cars. Other manufacturers have their own versions of the same idea. When a company changes its formula, even slightly, it can lose that certification unless it goes through a new round of testing and approval. Here's what happened during this shortage. Some of the certification organizations gave manufacturers a temporary pass, letting them substitute base oils without immediately losing their approval on the condition they complete testing later. General Motors did not go along with that. They held the line. What that means practically is this: it's possible, not guaranteed, for a bottle sitting on a store shelf right now to no longer carry the exact certification your specific engine calls for. And that's not something you're going to see just by glancing at the label, because the label hasn't necessarily caught up with reality yet. So, here's the real question, and it's not the question most people are asking. The real question isn't, is Pennzoil bad now? The real question is, does the bottle in front of you actually meet what your engine requires right now, today? And I promised you the part that matters most comes around 6 minutes in. Here it is. Here's exactly what to do, in order, starting the next time you're standing in that aisle. 1. Look at the label, not your memory of the label. For years it said made with natural gas right on the front. If that language is gone on the bottle you're holding, that's your signal something changed in that batch. 2. Ignore the brand name for a second and go straight to your owner's manual. The viscosity grade, that's the number like 5W30, and the OEM approval number is what actually protects your engine and your warranty, not the marketing copy on the front of the bottle. That number in your glove box has always mattered more than the brand loyalty most of us grew up with. 3. If you drive a turbocharged or direct injection engine, don't push your oil change interval all the way out to the far end of what's recommended right now. Tighten it up a little, 1,000 miles earlier than you'd normally go, until this whole situation settles down and the supply chain stabilizes. 4. Keep your receipts. I know that sounds like paperwork nobody wants to deal with, but it's the one habit that actually protects you. If a warranty question ever comes up down the road, proof of exactly what oil you used and when you changed it beats an argument with a dealership every single time. 5. Don't panic and switch brands out of fear. This shortage hit the entire industry, not just Pennzoil. Other major brands have quietly made similar adjustments to their own formulas. If you jump ship to a different brand, assuming you're avoiding the problem, you might just be trading the exact same situation for a different label on the bottle. So let's answer the question directly, one more time, in plain terms. Is Pennzoil Platinum still good oil? Yes. Is it the exact same oil it was 2 years ago? No, it isn't. Is that a real problem for your specific car? That depends entirely on what your engine actually needs, which is exactly why I just walked you through how to check that for yourself, instead of just taking my word for it or trusting the bottle to tell you the whole story. This is an industry-wide story, not a one-brand story, and it's far from finished. Supply is expected to improve over the next year or two as repairs and expansions come online, so this formula situation may not be permanent. If it shifts back, or if this same story hits the next major brand, I'll have it here first. Subscribing is the easiest way to make sure you hear about it from me instead of finding out 3 weeks late from somewhere else. One last thing before I let you go. If you've been running Pennzoil Platinum for years without a single issue, none of this means you did something wrong. You bought a good product based on good information at the time. Formulas change behind the scenes more often than any of us realize, across almost every brand on that shelf. This one just happened to get documented and talked about. The goal here was never to scare you away from a brand. It was to make sure you're the guy who checks the spec instead of the guy who just grabs whatever's on sale and hopes for the best. Thanks for sticking around to the very end of this one. That's exactly the kind of viewer this channel is built for, and I appreciate you.